right, folks, welcome back to PrepperNow and the Crisis Report. It is January 21st, 2026, and we are finally back up and running live, at least for now. I'll explain all that later. We're going to kind of keep going the way we were going, where we just get straight into it. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. If you'd like to check out, see what they have to say, there's a link in the description. They take your IRA or 401k and turn it into gold and silver. We've all been seeing what's going on with that. But we are now somewhat on our feet here. And we'll keep going. We're going to get going. So anyway, let's get started. We're not going to sit here and BS. It's good to be back. Good to be able to live stream. We appreciate you. Thanks so much. And let's get started. This is your crisis report. Greenland, done deal. Yes, they have a done deal with Greenland. So let's talk about that and then more other things going on as well. All right, here we go. President Trump says he and NATO Secretary General Rutte have agreed on a framework for a future deal on Greenland and the Arctic, prompting him to drop the previously threatened 10% tariffs on Denmark and other European nations. House Oversight Committee has voted to hold Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress, but Pam Bondi is not expected to prosecute either one of them if Congress issues a criminal referral. U.S. continues to prepare for an attack. There's an Arkansas joke there somewhere. The U.S. continues to prepare for an attack on Iran. Around 10 aerial refueling tankers left the USA. 3 or 4 of them are heading to the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, while the rest will land in Europe. Wall Street Journal also reports that both Patriot and THAAD air defense systems are being moved to the Middle East. Prime Minister Keir Starmer plans a Beijing visit next week as Britain and China aim to revive Golden Era business talks. Canada has planned to wage guerrilla warfare against the United States, according to Bloomberg. Canada has modeled possible responses to hypothetical U.S. invasion after Trump insisted the country could become the 51st state. Model assumes U.S. would quickly overrun Canada in days just so defense strategy would rely on guerrilla campaign, including sabotages, hit and runs, and ambushes. New York Times has reported the U.S.-Greenland deal will be similar to that of the UK-Cyprus agreement. U.S. will have small pockets of land inside Greenland. U.S. will be involved in Greenland mineral rights. Russia and China must not step in at any cost. U.S. Golden Dome system will be installed, opened a door to U.S.-backed infrastructure investment, yet Europe has succumbed again. AI czar David Sachs says 83% of the Chinese population is optimistic about AI, whereas in the U.S. it's about 39%. Could lose the AI race because of a self-inflicted injury, such as halting data center construction in a fit of pessimism or passing AI laws that restrict innovation. I think we're just kind of freaked out of it going Skynet and making our bills $1,000 a month, to be honest with you, bro. Just saying. Pentagon has ordered active duty military police in North Carolina to prepare for possible deployment in Minneapolis. DHS agent injured after immigration enforcement operation went wrong, ending in a shooting in Los Angeles. ICE officers are going to assert power to forcibly enter people's homes without judges' warrants, according to an internal ICE memo. 8 Muslim nations have jointly announced to join Trump's Board of Peace: Turkey, Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. Newly released infrared footage shows an unidentified triangular-shaped aircraft over Area 51, a Nevada test and training range, spotted by Uncanny Expeditions. It looks like a Shahed drone. Has a trail, too, a contrail, so nothing looked, I don't know, didn't look any kind of UFO-y to me, to be honest. Oh, wait. Let's celebrate we're back. Whoosh. There's a guy that emailed me and got all pissed off that I do that. He can go F himself. That's right. Danish veterans who fought alongside U.S. forces in Iraq and Afghanistan say they feel betrayed as President Trump escalates threats to seize Greenland, calling the rhetoric a blow to NATO solidarity and decades of two-way loyalty. Israel estimates that the U.S. will strike Iran within weeks if Tehran refuses to resume nuclear talks on U.S. terms. Extensive American assault could aim to destroy what's left of Iran's nuclear sites, missile program, and air defenses, according to Ynet. Israel on edge. Defense forces have heightened alert over U.S.-Iran strike fears. Israeli defense officials are closely monitoring tensions between Washington and Tehran amid growing concerns that any U.S. military strike on Iran could trigger a wider regional confrontation. It's a matter of time. The 23rd, they're going to be getting all their assets in place. I think the Abraham Lincoln is going to be there. They're just getting ready. They're just getting all their people together, everybody ready, all in there, and yeah, it's coming. It is coming. So, oh no, Tristan, I'm sorry to hear that, bud. Got laid off. Been sleeping a lot, waiting on a pension to finish house. Basically being a recharge, my friend. Good to see you back. I'm sorry to hear about you being laid off. It's not uncommon, though. I'll have an interesting story at the end of this when we get into the financials about something I learned from my former landlord. Nice guy, Christian, good dude, but he kind of his story will affirm what we all know is going on. Israel on edge. Wider regional confrontation coming in Israel, Iran. President Trump just confirmed the deal he's reaching with Europe is only not just about Greenland. It's about the entire Arctic. It's going to be a very big deal. All the polar bears are mine. President Malay's speech at the World Economic Forum in 2024, I warned that the West was in danger for embracing woke socialism. However, in 2026, I bring good news. The world has begun to awaken. America will be the beacon that will light up the entire West. Wall Street Journal reports that the Trump administration assessed Cuba's economy as being close to collapse and that the communist regime has never been this fragile. Trump intends to weaken the regime by choking off Venezuelan oil, and the island could run out of oil within weeks. The EU holdings of United States assets are massive. EU investors now hold a record $10 trillion worth of U.S. assets, according to Treasury data. U.S. equities represent the largest portion at $6 trillion, or 58% of total EU holdings. Same time, EU holdings of U.S. Treasuries stand at $2 trillion, or 19% of the total. Spanning beyond the EU, all European countries, including the U.K., Norway, and Switzerland, reflect 40% of all foreign treasury holdings. EU investor also owns $2 trillion in U.S. corporate and other bonds and $225 billion in agency bonds. Europe's financial exposure to the U.S. has never been larger. U.S. Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit has temporarily lifted restrictions on ICE and their use of force against protesters. ICE launched an immigration enforcement operation today in Maine entitled Operation Catch of the Day. Operation began in Maine's greater Portland area where up to 50 illegal immigrants were arrested. ICE Deputy Assistant Director Patricia Hyde stated the operation targeted 1,400 illegals, national backgrounds such as Senegal, Somalia, Honduras, Guatemala, and the Congo. Hyde's comments signal a willingness from ICE to be more transparent, as escalations have only risen since the excursion into Minneapolis and the deadly shooting of Renee Good, along with administrative leaks to the press communicating Trump's concern about the look of the ICE operations. It's January 21st, 2026. Trump has deported 250,000 to 300,000 illegal immigrants. Let's put some context, as I did the other day. That is within the continental United States. And if you look at it with all that we have closed off of the border, it's actually a larger number than what Biden did. But the way it looks right now isn't fantastic. But this is Nick Fuentes on what's going on. Repudiated mass deportations of all illegal immigrants or aliens yesterday. Minneapolis is rioting. Trump is already spending too much campaign for 2026. Doge is a complete failure. Tariffs might be completely overruled by the Supreme Court. Carrier strike group en route to bomb Iran for the second time. Charlie Kirk taken out, no retaliation from the government. Epstein, well, actively being suppressed. Files. Netanyahu's visited Trump 5 times. Are you winning yet? Emboldened by the U.S. ouster of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, the Trump administration is searching for Cuban government insiders who can help cut a deal to push out the communist regime by the end of the year. Trump administration has assessed Cuba's economy as being close to collapse and that the government has never been as fragile after losing a vital benefactor in Maduro. These people said officials don't have a concrete plan to end the communist government that has held power on the Caribbean island for almost 7 decades, but they see Maduro's capture and subsequent concessions from his allies left behind as a blueprint and a warning for Cuba, senior U.S. officials said, Wall Street Journal. And here's what Virginia Democrats have introduced so far. Now, before we get started, this is a very long list. But I just want you to think of all the crazy that has been put in on literally like day 1 and 2, and then extrapolate this out to what kind of crazy will be going on if the Democrats take the government again. Okay? So here we go. This is Virginia. This is a little spotlight into the future. Banning future attempts to clean up voter rolls. Make it illegal for state agencies distributing federal dollars to NGOs to investigate whether they're engaged in fraud. Make it illegal to hand count ballots. Allow mail-in ballots to be counted 1 week after election. Allow for absentee ballots to be received and counted for 3 days after the election. Gerrymandering the state with a 10-1 or 9-2 Democrat congressional map. Create a state-level equivalent of the VRA, which is the Virginia Redistricting Act. Eliminate the requirement that large, last-minute campaign contributions have to be publicly reported at least 24 hours before Election Day. Remove the State Board of Elections' ability to dispatch law enforcement officers to collect vote tallies from locality and refusing to publish them. Join the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact for allocating Virginia's Electoral College votes presidential elections. Automatic restoration of voting rights for felons after their release from prison, mentally handicapped. Allowing for votes to be cast electronically throughout the internet. Allowing for votes to be cast electronically through the internet. Allowing for votes to be cast electronically through the internet. Democrats forever. Public funding of political campaigns at the local level. Abolishing all mandatory minimum sentencing for manslaughter, assaulting, sexual assault of the most terrible style. Possession and distribution of child smut, repeat violation felonies. We're just getting started, folks. Making it harder for judges to deny bail, case hearings like aggravated assault, armed robbery, drug trafficking, giving convicted murderers, rapists, and terrorists a chance to get out of prison early. Criminal penalty for robbery. Bars prosecutors from mentioning a criminal's prior convictions during guilt phase of trial, even if it's for the same crime. Transfer the Department of Juvenile Justice for the Secretary of Public Safety's purview, Secretary of Health and Human Services. Reduce the amount of time the Commonwealth can compel a convicted criminal to pay court fees for 60 years to 10. I just say him randomly. Taxpayer funding for trans surgeries. Banning most discretionary state contracting under $100,000 for going to business owned by white men and allowing state agencies to award contracts to women or minority-owned firms that are 5% more expensive than a bid for a business owned by a white man. Punishing VMI for adopting an anti-DEI stance. Abolish all Confederate-themed license plates. Eliminate the tax-exempt status for Confederate history groups. Renaming Columbus Day to Indigenous People Day. Making it illegal to approach within 8 feet of somebody within 40 feet of an abortion clinic. Enshrining a leftist narrative about January 6th and teaching it in public schools. Allowing localities to adopt rent control measures. Increasing the sales tax in Northern Virginia, adding in an additional sales tax for home deliveries, raise the car tax for electric vehicles, and impose new sales for tax streaming services, concerts, gym memberships, nail salons, barbershops, tanning beds, tattoo parlors, dry cleaners, shoe repairs, carpentry, painting, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, landscaping, and housekeeping, work for homes, with swimming pool maintenance, travel agencies, and shipping services. Create a new tourism tax on event entrance fees. Raise the local hotel tax in Arlington. Impose a new 7.75% tax on incomes over $1 million. Create two new tax brackets, one over $600,000 at 8% and another over $1 million at 10%. Oh, wait, there's more. That's right. It keeps going. Impose a 3.8% investment tax on top state income taxes, allowing every locality to raise the state sales tax by 1%. Raise the sales tax for Stafford County. Round up all state and local taxes by the nearest 5-cent increment. Allowing localities to outlaw gas-powered leaf blowers. Impose a new personal property tax on electric-powered lawn equipment, limiting the ability to use self-driving or autonomous vehicles. Allowing state and local government to implement traffic and speed cameras. Put speed cameras on state highways. Require a license to buy a firearm. Assault weapons banned. Strip gun rights for anyone convicted of a misdemeanor, hate crime. Making it illegal to shoot a firearm in a lot size less than 5 acres. Expanding gun-free zones. Shrinking concealed carry reciprocity with other states. Holding firearms manufacturers liable for gun deaths. Impose an 11% sales tax on all firearms and ammunition. Impose a $500 sales tax on firearm suppressors. Drastically raise the physical requirements to operate a firearms store. Make it harder to obtain a concealed carry permit. It's still going. This is their first day, folks. Create a new taxpayer-funded state propaganda center for the sole purpose of promoting gun control. Ending qualified immunity for police. Targeting ICE by banning the use of facial coverings by law enforcement officers. Make ICE agents liable for civil lawsuits filed by illegal aliens. Prohibiting ICE from arresting illegal migrants outside of courthouses, establishing a state propaganda commission to publicize the supposed negative impacts of ICE raids in Virginia, create a state-mandated playbook for how schools must respond to ICE showing up on their campus and ban school employees from assisting ICE, unionizing government employees and give them collective bargaining rights, unlimited taxpayer funding home purchases for government employees, preferential hiring in state government for federal employees laid off by DOGE, deferring property taxes for federal employees during shutdowns. Still going. Hiking minimum wage, $15 an hour. That's going to go great. Eliminating the minimum wage except for farm workers. Mandating the hiring of new bureaucratic position, career coach, is every single public school. Mandating mental health screenings for all public school students between 6th and 12th grade. Drastically curtailing homeschool and private school independence from the Virginia Department of Education. Raising the salaries of school board chairs and vice chairs, because God knows they're not paid enough. Free public school education for illegal aliens, allowing out-of-state Indian tribe members to receive an in-state tuition. Less students graduate high school despite failing grades. Eliminating nearly all academic benchmarks for college students to continue receiving financial aid. Somali daycare fraud pilot program. Expanding the eminent domain powers of the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. Reclassifying solar farms as an agricultural operation, thus granting it protections under the right to farm law. More than triple financial penalties from the Department of Environmental Quality to comply with environmental regulations. More than tripling financial penalties from the Department of Environmental Quality to comply with environmental regulations, mandating all localities adopt an environmental justice plan, allocating $100 million in taxpayer funding for the production of sustainable aviation fuel, eliminating the ability of a health insurance provider to provide a premium for smokers, or to charge a premium for smokers. Add a new insurance mandate to cover over-the-counter condoms. Add a new insurance mandate to cover over-the-counter condoms. Mandates unconscious racial bias trainings for nurses to retain their licenses. That's day one. I don't know if you're in Virginia. My parents are. But you need to get out now. And if you think that's anything, you wait for them to get control of the federal government, because it is going to be batshit insane. You have been warned. That took me almost 10 minutes to read all of that, and I read pretty quickly. These people are nuts. Whew. Natural gas prices have risen another 25%, post their largest two-day gain in history as an Arctic blast is sweeping across the U.S. It has been cold. Natural gas prices are now up 60% in 2 days. U.S. pending home sales unexpectedly fell 9.3% month over month, far worse than the 0.3% expected decline, marks the largest decline since the Rona-demic in 2020. So my old landlord, we were only there for 6 weeks, but he gave us a place to go when we didn't have a place to go. And he contacted me today because we have, deposit and all that. He said, "Hey man, I gotta spread this out over a few weeks because we're kind of hurting." He's a random dude, right? Christian. He owns a house. They moved out in August, basically. He's an inadvertent landlord. He said, "I can't. We're slinging this thing for less because we got to get rid of it. I'm losing money, and so you just got to give me time." Now, this happened to my wife and I in 2013 to 17. And so I know what the guy's going through, and it's AG double hockey sticks on earth. It's frustrating. So I said, "Hey, you're good, dude. I get you. I feel it. I know it. Been there." The guy is selling his house for less than he bought it for. And they're in there for a little bit, like a few years. Housing prices are going down. And there's a housing problem coming. I don't know what they're going to do to solve it, but there's a housing problem coming. It's bad. President of the U.S. said the Dow Jones will hit $100,000 soon. $2,000 tariff stimulus checks are coming without congressional approval. You better not be bearish your assets, folks. President Trump says he wants a Fed chair like Alan Greenspan in the 1990s. Greenspan cut rates, hiked rates late, and let risky assets run. And the U.S. debt crisis is intensified. 26% of U.S. federal debt set to mature in the next 12 months, one of the largest portions this century. By comparison, peak was 29% in 2020 when interest rates were zero. Problems. Problems, problems, problems. I'm still like reeling from that list of Virginia. I'm just glad that we got out. It was truly God. My wife and I have no doubt about it. To know what the former landlord is going through, to see what's going on in the world financially, holy Lord, we got out. We are blessed. We are lucky. I'm saying that now. We'll see. We have to work our tail off to keep this place, but we're going to be okay. So we got plans. We got backup. Why? Because as one lady said there on the other day, she said, "You know what? Listen to the man. He and Pinball and a few others, including Prepper Nation, have been saying, get into certain things and do certain things because it's coming." Ladies and gentlemen, it's coming. I just went through probably the toughest 2 months as a husband and father, an employee, and everything else. But I know that what's coming is going to be a heck of a lot tougher, and it will be peanuts compared to what's coming. So I hope you're doing the things. Continue to listen into the crisis report. I'm going to lay it out for you so you can hear. It's the most comprehensive news on YouTube. I have yet to find anyone. In fact, I have a sneaking suspicion. Can I be honest? I have a sneaking suspicion some other channels here that get their news, I bet they're lurking. They say things that are very similar, and just after when I do it, I wouldn't be surprised if, I'm not going to name them, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few of them don't check out the old crisis report from time to time. You find me in one channel that's doing as much as freaking comprehensive. Seriously, bring it. Because I would listen to them. Okay? All right. Lurkers. I'm telling you, man. I know I got lurkers. Yes, double tap that screen, please. All right. We're back, baby. It's brought to you by Starlink. That's right. We'll see. We're having an internet off. So we were supposed to get our sidebar. And then we'll wrap it up. I'm going to go to PrepperNow, too. I'm going to screw it. I'm in a live streamy kind of mood. Contacted a company, the company that's in the area to do the old interwebs. I said, hey, I need interwebs. We're moving in. I said, okay. We'll be there by Wednesday. This is last week. I said, okay. And I told my wife on Monday, I said, you mark my words. In a time of crappy service, they will not have our equipment here by Wednesday. Mark my words. She said, no. Be optimistic. Don't be negative. I said, okay. Sure enough, it's Wednesday. Came and went. No, nothing. So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go out and get Starlink, and then we're going to get it set up too. And we're going to see which, because I can cancel both and not be charged. And we're going to see which one is quickest and best. So hopefully this works for you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty happy so far with Starlink. So we'll see what my wife does with it. So she'll be working from home tomorrow. Anyway, God bless you all, friends. Yeah, we got the mid-tier. We got the $80 one. And so far, so good. I mean, I was paying $80, back in the land of freedom in Maryland. So, yeah. Anyway, Dave Dupree, thanks for becoming a new member on the Crisis Report. That's right. You can find us on Substack. You can join us for free, or you can give me a little something for the effort. We do have paying customers as well. You can join us on Subscribestar and Locals, where you get interesting information. The full detail list of that bat-ish, crazy Virginia Democrat anti-freedom, whatever the heck you want to call it, that's over there waiting for you. Amongst other bunch of stuff that'll get you kicked off of Meta. I know it because I get kicked off Patreon. Because heaven forbid you guys get the truth, right? Well, guess what? PrepperNow, Crisis Report, I'm going to be doing it as well as we can. So we won't stop. God bless. See you on the next one. We're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. I'm going to go on over to Crisis or to PrepperNow and do it for a little bit. Okay? Why not? See you on the next one.